Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Analyst Breakdown. I'm your host, the Analyst, and today I wanted to talk about and give my key insights to the PSG versus Arsenal Champions League final that will be happening this weekend. Now, I wanted to address my main concerns regarding Arsenal specifically because I do feel like, in my opinion, PSG could be the favourites for this final and Arsenal may have a lot more to worry about. That is my opinion. So I want to first start off with Luis Enrique's tactics for this game. Now I'm sure what he's going to do for this game is a very specific and interesting thing that he has been doing throughout his time managing PSG. Now he did this against Bayern Munich, and I'm sure he's going to do this again with Arsenal. So for those of you that don't know what happened in the Bayern Munich PSG game in the semi-final of the first leg of the semi-final, we had a massive 9-goal thriller where it ended 5-4 full time and PSG won that game. But what I noticed was Michael Olise was exploiting a lot of weaknesses in the PSG defense. I mean, he was splitting that defense like Moses splitting the sea. That is how incredible he was. He was effortlessly doing it. And as you can see, I think he got an 8.0 star rating throughout that entire match for his contribution. I mean, he even got a goal. He was incredible. And then if you look at the home game for Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena, Olise didn't have much of a contribution. As you can see there on the screenshot I put up on the screen, you can see his ratings dropped, and I will tell you why. So with Luis Enrique, what he noticed was the threat and the level of threat that Olise brings against that PSG defense. So what he decided to do was he took his goalkeeper and he made his goalkeeper kick the ball outside of the play area on the opposite side to Olise. So Olise is here and the goalkeeper kicked the ball outside the play area on that side. And he did that constantly. He did it on purpose. Every single goal kick was aimed outside the play area. Now yes, Bayern Munich does get the throw-ins, but it makes it harder to play balls back to Olise because you have to play crosses all the way to him. And Olise then has to worry a lot more about man marking, a lot more about making sure his position is right, making sure he has some space to run in, the ball doesn't go out, a lot more to worry about, and it just makes it harder. So instead, Arsenal's forced to play, shorter balls, to Saliba, etc., Odegaard, those shorter passes, which PSG can then, pressure Bayern Munich to make mistakes. And I do feel like that's what they are going to do against Arsenal. Now, if we look at how Enrique targets the opposition's attackers, he targets wingers. He won't target the striker because it's pointless, because the wingers are always flanking the defense and they can expose a lot. So I feel like his defense is more vulnerable to flanks, and that is what he's going to be watching. So in my opinion, I think the most likely target for this tactic will be Bukayo Saka. Why do I think so? Bukayo has had an incredible season for Arsenal. He always is a star. He is very pacey, his stamina is incredible, and not only that, he is just like a missile. I mean, 1 minute you just see him beyond the defense area, the next minute he's in the box. He is extremely fast, extremely deadly. I even sometimes define him as silent but deadly because he sneaks past a lot of defenders. So I do feel like because he plays that same position as Olise, he plays to the left of the PSG goalkeeper. The PSG goalkeeper will be targeting, kicking to the right, especially outside that play area towards the right. That is what I think he's going to do. So if I was Arteta, what would I be doing in training? I would be making sure that you are able to play with two different attackers instead of your normal three. Why? Because if Saka is basically immobilized and eliminated from the attacking equation, you need to figure out, okay, how am I going to score now? How is this team going to aggress? Because we do know PSG likes to put on a lot of pressure and they will be the aggressive team. So you need to make sure that you can counter PSG's attacks, but you can only do it with two of your attackers, since Saka will most likely be targeted with that Enrique tactic. So that's what I feel like Arteta should be doing and should be focusing on, is just trying to play without Saka or without any other key attackers that could be a potential candidate for this Enrique tactic that Luis likes to play. So that is my opinion. And I also do think that Arsenal needs to reinforce their defense and they need to keep an eye on those PSG attackers. Now, yes, Dembele is injured, Hakimi is injured, but they are expected to return for the Champions League final. And yes, Raya is going to be back for the Champions League final, that is expected, and so is Timber. He could potentially be in the Champions League final. He is in training. But what I do think that Arsenal needs to do is watch those strikers, because that is what Bayern Munich didn't do, and that's what cost them. Because if you look at most of the goals they conceded at the Parc des Princes, it was all because they took their eye off the attackers. They took their eye off Doué. They took their eye off Dembele. They took their eye off Kvaratskhelia. And that's how they conceded goals. That's how they gave away chances. So what Arsenal needs to do is always keep their eyes on these attackers. Keep their eyes on Dembele, Kvaratskhelia and Doué, because they are all going to be very deadly at any point in the game, and PSG's pacing can change in an instant. 1 minute they can be passing in the midfield to the defense, next minute they're suddenly sprinting towards the penalty area on an attack. They are very pacey, they are very fast, and they have a high pressure. So that is what I think Arsenal is going to need to do. So like I said, I see PSG coming into this as the favourites. I feel like they have less pressure on them because they already won the Champions League and they're used to being in this environment. Arsenal, this squad has never been in this environment before, and not only that, it's a lot at stake here for Arsenal because this is the closest they've ever come to a Champions League trophy. They've never won one. The last time they were in a final was with the mighty Arsenal, the Arsenal that this squad looks up to. So it's a lot of pressure on them because if they win this, they did something the mighty Arsenal could not do. So I feel like PSG will be a little bit more comfortable, and especially with Luis Enrique's tactics, they can be a bit more confident in this final. I'm not saying that Arsenal is completely out of it because anything can happen, this is football. But what I'm just saying is, in my opinion, Arsenal does have a lot more to worry about. But let me know down in the comments, who do you think is going to win this final? What are your thoughts on my analysis? And let me know down in the comments, what do you think Arsenal should do to prepare for this PSG squad?